In example number 4, we're going to follow the same rules that we've seen us use in example number 3. And so what I want to do is notice that I have a negative sign here. I'm going to need to distribute that negative sign to all 3 terms that are in this problem, in this expression on the right that's in orange. And then I'm going to rewrite it directly underneath the first expression so that I can do the subtraction. For instance, this negative sign, if I distribute it to 10a, it becomes negative 10a. And if I distribute that negative sign to negative 2a to the 5th power, it becomes positive. And then if I distribute the negative sign to the negative 14a to the 4th power, it also becomes positive. And now I'm simply going to rewrite these terms underneath each one of the terms in the first expression, and I'm going to match them up. Now I'm going to do them, notice that they are kind of out of order, so what I'm trying to do is match them up by power. And I'm just looking real quick. Notice I have a power of 5, we have a power of 5. We also have a power of 1, and there's a power of 1. And then we have a power of 3, but here we have a power of 4. So notice we're missing a power of 3, so we're going to have to add in a placekeeper. So let me go ahead and rewrite this real fast, because I know that I'm going to have one that's missing. And so I'm going to go ahead and start by writing the first one. So 12a to the power of 5. 12a to the power of 5. And then I'm going to go over here till we have a power of 5. And I'm just going to cross them out as I write them so we can mark them off. And I got 2a to the power of 5. So it's a positive 2a to the power of 5. And then notice I don't have a power of 4 here. I got a power of 3 and a power of 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put a placekeeper. So I'm going to put plus 0x to the power of 4. And beneath it, I'm going to go back over here and add this 14a to the power of 4. So plus 14a to the power of 4. Let me change this. I know I put an x, I meant an a. There it goes. Alright, and then I'm going to do the next one. So I do know that after 4 comes 3, and we do have a power of 3 here. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in, minus 10a to the power of 3. That gets rid of this term. But over here, we don't have anything to the power of 3, so beneath it, just as a placekeeper or placeholder, I'm going to put plus 0a to the power of 3. And next would be the power of 2. Now what I notice is I don't have a 2 over here or over here. So you could put a placeholder if you want, but I feel like since neither one of these expressions have a power of 2, I'm just going to completely ignore it and not even write it. And I'm going to go down to the next one, which is the power of 1, because we do have both of these have a to the power of 1. So I'm going to say minus 6a. I'll cross that out, and then I have this negative 10a. So minus 10a. And now we used all of our terms. I have 12a to the 5th power, and then I have a negative 6a and 10a to the 3rd power. And then where we didn't have the 4th power, I just put a placeholder so that all of these can match. For instance, over here we have 14a to the 4th power. We got our 2a to the 5th power in the front. We did put a 0a to the 3rd power just as a placeholder. And then we have our negative 10a. So all my terms are accounted for. And that helps when you mark them off to make sure that you've put everyone in place. And we're just going to do math from top to bottom. So 12 plus 2 gives me 14. So this becomes 14a to the 5th power. And 0 plus 14 just gives me 14. So plus 14a to the 4th power. And negative 10a plus 0 is going to leave me with negative 10a to the 3rd power. And 6a minus, or you can say negative 6 plus negative 10, you can look at it that way, is going to leave me with a negative 16a. And that is our answer for example number 4. So let's do one more and see that process one more time. Alright, we're going to follow that same process. I need to first distribute this negative sign So negative 1 times positive 3, all it does is change that to a negative 3n squared. Distribute the negative sign to the positive 11n, and it turns it into a negative 11n to the 4th power. And distribute that to the negative 7, and it becomes a positive 7. So now I got all my signs changed, and I'm going to go ahead and start writing these out. Notice I'm going to put the largest power first. So my largest power in this first expression, is negative 3n to the 4th power. And I notice that that's also my largest power in the second expression. So I'm going to write that as negative 3n to the 4th power, and beneath it, I'm going to go ahead and put negative 11n to the 4th power. Notice I crossed them out. We're done with that. And so I'm looking, do we have a third power? And there's no third power in any of my expressions. So I'm going to skip that one. I'm not going to even use a placeholder. And I'm going to go to the next one, which would be the second power. Now I do have two terms with the second power. So let me go ahead and write that one. I have positive 10n to the second power. And in this one over here, we have negative 3n to the second power. And then I notice that I do have a first power on this expression, right? It's n to the 1 power, but there's no n to the 1 power on the right expression. So I am going to use a placeholder in this case for the orange. So I'm going to write positive 8n, right? Because that's a positive 8n. And beneath it, I'm going to write a placeholder, positive 0n. Cross that out. And last, we have our constant value. So since we don't have a constant in the left expression in black, I'm going to go ahead and just put plus 0. And beneath it, I will put this orange one, which is plus 7. And now we're ready to do math from top to bottom. Now from here, if I take negative 3 and add it to negative 11, that should give me negative 14n to the 4th power. And in the second one, if I take positive 10 and add it to negative 3, that's going to leave me with positive 7, so plus 7. And then bring down my variable, n squared. And then 8 plus 0 is 8, so plus 8n, and 0 plus 7 is 7, plus 7. And that would be the answer for example 5. And in our final example, we're going to go ahead and once again take this negative sign, and we're going to distribute it to this positive 10x to the 4th power, which is going to make it negative 10x to the 4th power. We're then going to distribute the negative sign to positive 7x, which is going to make it negative 7x. And we'll take the negative sign and distribute it to the 5x to the 5th power, and it'll make it a negative 5x to the 5th power. And now we're going to take these terms and we're going to line them up underneath the terms for our other expression, and we're going to start with our highest power. And remember that we are going to put in a 0x or 0x squared or whatever's necessary for placeholders if anything is missing. So I'm going to start by circling the first one I'm going to write, which is negative 7x to the 5th power. So negative 7x to the 5th power. And over here we have a negative 5x to the 5th power. So I'm going to write it underneath it. Negative 5x to the 5th power. I'm going to cross it out because we already wrote it. Next, I do notice that I have a 4th power over here, but I don't in the black. So in the black, I am going to add a plus 0x to the 4th power to use as a placeholder. And then I'm going to take this negative 10x to the 4th power and write it beneath it. So minus 10x to the 4th power. And I'll go ahead and cross that out. And I notice I don't have anything to the 2nd power, so I'll skip it. I don't have anything to the 3rd power, so I'm not going to worry about it. And the next one I have is a negative 2x. So I'm going to bring down this negative 2x. And it's, of course, to the power of 1. Anytime you don't see a power, it's to the power of 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring down the orange's negative 7x. Last of all, we just have to deal with this constant. We have a positive 14. Notice in orange we do not have a constant, so I'm just going to put plus 0. I'm going to draw my line underneath it, and I'm going to do math now from top to bottom. So negative 7 plus negative 5 gives me negative 12x to the 5th power. 0 plus negative 10 will leave me with negative 10x to the 4th power. And negative 2 plus negative 7 will give me negative 9x. And 14 plus 0 is 14. And that is our answer to this final example. So hopefully that helps.